but I'm wallowing in depression because we have mastered the art of being fine. And so someone once said that if you could open the hearts of men, it will be a desert of hell. Because women talk.
Yes.
Within 5 minutes of women sitting around, they'll share so much. And someone joked that women being a man is negative. Because again now, if I today came and sat down with you here, and the first thing I did was tell you, manze jana bibi yangu amenichapa mbaya. That conversation ends there. It is easier for men to come and discuss CHAN. Right now we have a Confederation of African Football going on. It is easier for men to discuss politics. But it is so hard for men to discuss deep-rooted issues that may actually now portray them as weaker beings. You see, from the onset, we allowed this narrative that women are a weaker vessel to manifest. And so it became a comparison of if women are a weaker vessel, then men are the stronger vessel. So if you're seen as the vessel of strength, then now again being able to come out of your fears and say, I'm in a toxic relationship. This is happening to me. And even beyond domestic violence, even where finances are concerned, it is very easy for a man to wallow in problems, but silently. But because the society will always look at you as a failure, the standard of success that has been put on a man's head is so high that anything less than that is considered failure. And so this is not even advice to men. This is a plea. This is a plea to men that we have been saying it is okay not to be okay. Sometimes it helps for you to actually speak out than to die in that silence. But then now the bigger question becomes, who does a man open up to?
Who does a man open up to?
Yeah. You understand? Is it to a fellow man? Is it to a woman? Who can a man feel safe enough to come and confide in and tell them, by the way, ABCD is happening in my life? Almost always no one. And so it is very easy for me to make a decision that I want to actually come out and speak. But who do I speak to? Now, in that line, I want to give you a short example, as a brief example. There's this bishop that we respect so much called JJ Gitahi. I don't know if you've heard about him. And this man has always empowered men. We listen to him and we are encouraged. We listen to him and we come out feeling like, wow, even if I was almost about to give up, I want to try. But recently, JJ comes up and says, hey, since my mom died, I feel like I've been struggling with depression. I feel like all of a sudden I was the encourager, but all of a sudden I need to be encouraged. And people are all over saying, how is it possible that such a man of his stature and abilities can actually fall into a space of needing help? And that tells you how hard the society has pushed men. And so, who does a man then go to say, I am dealing with this situation? It could be financial, it could be, as you're saying, domestic abuse, it could be the death of a spouse, it could be the death of a family member. Do we mourn? Do we even mourn? Do men even go into a space of mourning? Or is it expected of us to just wash up and continue?
Stuff being a man. In brief, it's stuff being a man. Wow. So, thank you first of all. Once again, the viewers, we are really very grateful for Peter Karanja to be with us and share with us. Our topic for today is men's mental health and modern masculinity. Now, I have this question. How can we, as friends and family, recognize signs of a man who is struggling? Because you have said they're hiding there. In a way, I think from your conversation is we're hiding in our struggles. How can we, as friends and family, recognize signs of a man who is struggling?
I think men are grand actors. If there was a cast that would require grand actors, men would fit perfectly. Because even in our greatest of sorrows, I could be here, sat here with you talking about men issues, but I'm wallowing in depression because we have mastered the art of being fine. And so someone once said that if you could open the hearts of men, it will be a desert of hell. Because women talk.
Yes.
Within 5 minutes of women sitting around, they'll share so much. And someone joked that women speak probably 10,000 words every day, right? And men, probably not. You go to work, you hustle the whole day, come back home, and probably people are already going to bed, you watch news kidogo, eat supper. And that's why it is very hard for you, if you're not keen enough, you might not be able to notice a man who is struggling. But if you're keen enough, there are things you will start to notice. First of all, most men, if you're keen, you will realize that are you married?
Yes, married.
So a man who is not married, there are things he does. Attend a game, maybe atenda akona a football team yenye ana support, maybe hata akona jezi yenye anavanga, hata akona a group of friends ambao ameembrace, and so on and so forth. Now, there's a time in a man's life that you start noticing they are withdrawing. And this withdrawal is very hard to detect, especially because most men don't build social circles that are broad. And so you have to be very keen to notice, this man, for some time now, it's like he has been going on and on and on. There's a withdrawal pattern that is evident if you're keen enough. And this withdrawal pattern is not, he does not talk to people, not at all. He talks to people, but he's slowly not eager to engage in social settings. Kuna harusi hapa hayuko, kuna a social gathering hapa hayuko. It is gradual withdrawal, right? And eventually you will start hearing friends say, no, a friend of mine committed suicide. We were in him the same high school. He went ahead to become an engineer, but for some reason family didn't work out. Eventually he committed suicide. And so in the conversations with friends, people were like, can you people didn't notice this guy was falling off? And then someone says, I noticed for some time the chamas that men go to, the gatherings that men do, he started withdrawing gradually. But because we think, maybe in job, imemweka busy, maybe in family. By the time you realize it was actually actual withdrawal, kimeumana. So withdrawal is one very common part you'll notice. Number two, some men also show a lot of irritation. They are very irritable. A man who was calm and collected, a man who was normally very cordial, a man who was normally very friendly, all of a sudden looks for any opportunity to actually become abrasive. And this would apply both in a family setting, but also in normal context. If you're a parent, and I keep telling parents, especially to young men, this, be very keen on how that man reacts to situations that are kind of stressful. A man who would normally be told, usirudi kuacha socks chini, anachukua anaweka kwa the right place. Today you tell him that and he sparks out. That is a man who needs, you need to be very careful with and try and understand why is it that these energies all of a sudden are being channeled in a very different way. So a man who all of a sudden will also become violent, and now this is in a marriage setting. A husband who would normally have a conversation with you, but today, out of a simple altercation, he slaps you. He could be dealing with something more than just the anger issue. This could be a mental concern that you need to pay a lot of attention to. Number three, interests. Men have interests. Men will talk about the desire to build a house. Men will talk about a desire to own a car. when we talk about a desire to do great things. But a man who is struggling in their mental wellness will suddenly go silent. A man who used to talk about their vision all of a sudden seems like he's losing direction. And probably not because he's losing direction, it's because he's dealing with a monster within them that he's not able to talk about. And so you start realizing that this man would normally talk about big things, would normally engage in conversations that were progressive, but suddenly hana interest. And this would also apply to also young men. A man who was visionary, a man who had a career going, a man who was thinking about getting into a job. Have you seen people who wake up in the morning and they turn on the TV and they'll spend the whole day there? And you like, this man has become lazy. It is very easy for you to conclude that they've become lazy, but you don't understand the bigger concern that is going down. An interest could also be religion. A person who was passionate about church is no longer interested in church. A person who was very passionate about a sport is no longer interested. That is another telltale sign of a person who is going down the drain. Now, number 4, and this is something that we also have noted over time nowadays, is with regards to even hygiene. Now, mental health is something that is very hard to understand, right? Today, you have a man who was very neat, a man who was keen on their outlook. You know, he'd iron, he would polish their shoes, he would keep the hair in good, all of a sudden, this man is not interested. And you've seen this even with older generation of men who all of a sudden hayuko keen, atamka tu whatever atapata atatoka nayo. You meet a person kwa barabara and you're like, this person did not take their time to actually, level up. In your thinking, you assume that this man is careless. And that is why you keep saying mental health is one of the conversations that we are not ready to have. Because its manifestation, we assume mtu ukiona mtu kwa barabara huko akikota makaratasi, that is the only true reflection of someone who is losing it. But it also manifests in those small, tiny things that you would assume. Now, a lecturer, I don't want to name because it was something that was in the news a while ago, goes into a mental, he started having mental concerns. Pole too. And the wife is equally a big person in this country. And they kept saying it is the man who has the problem. It is the man who seems to be losing away. It is the man who does not come to church. It is the man who has stopped attending family gatherings. It is the man. Before we woke up one day, only to realize that this man had actually committed suicide. A senior lecturer at that. And when that happened, then people start asking, did you notice any signs of suicidal thoughts? And so number 5, suicidal thoughts. There are people who say, Sumoja ndajiua. And they keep saying it and you are like, we anasemanga tu. But there are people who actually do it. And so, if you sit with a man who suddenly seems not to be keen about their life, who suddenly who does not have interest, who is withdrawing, who is irritable, who is showing signs of not taking care of themselves, now that person is gradually moving towards suicidal thoughts. Because eventually, when a man now feels like there's nothing else that is left.
Viewers, when this show began, I thought it would be just stories about men, but from what Peter Karanja is talking about, it's a topic whereby we really need to really listen to. You have really kind of in details you have talked about how the sense of a man who is struggling. And I believe viewers there, me personally, like you have said, personally I had this very good friend of mine. Just because he started showing these signs, we kept quiet. But right now he's dead. So today I'm learning a lot. And viewers, I believe if you are listening, you're learning a lot. The show is called the ENVILA Show, and our guest is Peter Karanja, a very educated man. He's talking about men's health and modern masculinity. So, Peter, I'd like to move slightly forward because time it's not allowing us, but this topic it really are not. So, what role can sports, faith, and community play in men's healing journey? Because I've heard people saying sports is bad and all that. There are people who are saying it there. What role do you think this thing can play? Sports, faith, and community.
Faith and community. Let me start with faith. Let me start with sports. I started by saying that at Kilele Foundation we run a program called sports evangelism. And what we do through sports evangelism